They were happy she finally had a taste of her own medicine since she always looked down on them. "You impudent bastard! Just who the hell are you? How dare you lecture me?" Mrs. Pruitt fumed, and her temper flared. "Just you wait and see. I will expel Haley from this kindergarten and blacklist her. I will make sure she will never get an education in her lifetime. I'm going to blacklist all of you." "Blacklist?" Dustin scoffed. He kicked Mrs. Pruitt down to the ground. "Why don't you try? I'd like to see just how capable you are." Mrs. Pruitt landed on her bottom. Scrambling to her feet, she yelled with a strained voice, "Security! Security! Where the hell are you? Come quickly!" After hearing her screams, two security guards rushed through the doors. But before they could act, Dustin turned to glare at them. They froze on the spot. For a moment, they felt a shiver run down their spines, and they broke out in cold sweat. It was as if they were prey locked on by a predator. They didn't dare make a move. "Hey, what are you two doing just standing there? Beat him up!" Mrs. Pruitt flew into a rage when she saw the guards' lack of reaction. She ended up slapping both of them. She yelled, "You bunch of trash! What am I paying you for? You two are useless." The two security guards held their cheeks as they fumed, but they could only stay silent. "Pruitt, how are you the headmistress when a poor nobody dares to make a scene here?" Mrs. Lansky finally stood up, wobbling. She fumed, "I'm warning you, if you don't deal with this appropriately today, I won't let you go." Mrs. Pruitt froze. She rushed up to Mrs. Lansky and smiled apologetically. "Mrs. Lansky, this has nothing to do with me. It's the brat who's aggressive and arrogant. But don't worry, I've called the cops, they'll be here soon. I promise to make them regret what they did. That bitch and her little bastard too. You can't let any of them off." Mrs. Lansky was filled with hatred. "No problem, of course." Mrs. Pruitt nodded as she buttered up to Mrs. Lansky. "Still got a foul mouth, I see." Dustin's gaze turned cold. He delivered another slap across Mrs. Lansky's face, knocking her to the ground again. At the same time, he added a few kicks. As he kicked her, he roared, "Go on, try talking with that foul mouth of yours. I need to teach you a lesson before you think you can provoke me again and again. You impudent bastard." Mrs. Pruitt was shocked and angry, but she didn't dare intervene. She knew how painful Dustin's slap was. It was evident from Mrs. Lansky's severely disfigured face. "Stop right there. Everyone, stop right there." Right then, a few men in uniform burst into the room. The one leading the team was a middle-aged man in his 40s. The man had a strong build and a commanding presence, accentuated by his fierce features. As soon as he appeared, the crowd scattered. Nobody dared stand in their way.